Hello, viewers. Here are some thoughts on the upcoming trip of Donald Trump to India. Now, you all saw this interview that he was giving to reporters, I think on an airfield, and he was saying that we are going to do a very big deal with India, a trade deal with India. It's just not going to happen on this trip. So when I saw that, I went back to my younger days when I used to read. I used to love reading Asterix comics. Now, if you all remember the famous statement that Julius Caesar is supposed to have made, which is Vini, Vidi, Vici, or I came, I saw, I conquered. This was supposedly in a letter that he wrote to the Senate after defeating, I want to get this thing right, Pharnaces II of Pontus. So, now, Asterix, as always, likes to make fun of this. So, in their comic, there is a statement from Julius Caesar prior to going on this expedition, and he's saying, I shall come, I shall see, I shall conquer. Now, put that in context with what Trump was saying. Is he saying, I shall go, I shall see, I shall return? Because the trade part is off the table. Why, you ask? Robert Lighthizer, the US trade representative who was supposed to have accompanied Trump, is not going now. So clearly there was a hard stop in the negotiations that were going on leading up to this meeting of Modi and Trump. So I can only guess that it has to do with dairy products. And the reason Trump really wants that is you have to go back to what is happening in the United States politics. It's always, in my opinion, tied to politics. So if you look at the swing states that happen, which is those states where they can go from Democrats to Republican or Republican to Democrats. Now, usually it used to be just Florida. Florida was the one that would usually determine who became the president of the United States. I'm talking about for the last 20 plus years. Then Ohio joined the bandwagon. So it was Florida and then Ohio. Now, in this particular election, that is 2016 election, there were very, very solid Democratic states that went Republican. 3 states: Pennsylvania, which is a steel country, then Wisconsin, which is milk, and Michigan, which is mostly agriculture. Of course, there is also the little matter of automobiles. That also happen in Detroit. Although now automobiles are getting manufactured all over India, all over the United States, so it is hard to pin it down on just in Detroit, Michigan. But so, if you look at all his promises after he came to power, what are the things he did? He got a steel deal. He got, he got a China trade deal going, which he thought would help. Unfortunately for him, the Chinese stopped buying soybeans, which Michigan manufactures a lot. So now Michigan was up in arms saying, look, we need to be able to sell soybeans somewhere. And interestingly enough, some of the countries were willing to sell to China. So China had to be brought back to the negotiating table. And as of today, I believe that China has agreed to buy soybeans again after a small gap. But be that as it may, you see where it is going. It's almost as if the US politics is being played just for 5 states or the 6 swing states, and as if the others don't matter. Be that as it may, this is just my view. I could be wrong. So now, for the first time in many, many years, Michigan and Wisconsin swung the Republican way. And that, coupled with Philadelphia, is what cooked Hillary's goose as far as her presidency run went. So those 3 states are being looked at very, very keenly in the present slate of contenders. They all want to make sure that for the Democrats, these are called as the blue wall. They want to get that blue wall back so they can always say that we are going to get this number of delegates from Michigan, Wisconsin, and so on and so forth. Whereas for Republicans, they know with their smaller, tighter population demographics, they need to win every one of these undecideds. So Trump was really, really keen on getting this dairy deal with India. And I think India didn't balk at it. They didn't want to do it. So looks like there's going to be less of trade and more of tourism in this trip of Trump. And the other interesting thing that he wanted to mention, he mentioned in that conversation with the reporters, was that he said that Modi has promised me that 7 million people are going to line up from the airport to the stadium. The stadium, of course, is Motera, which is going to host 110,000 people, still in construction, so we don't know how many are going to be housed. You can be sure that they're going to fill it up. And you can also be sure that the road from the airport to the stadium is going to be full. I mean, these are all more I would call as spectacle, tamasha, that might be served up for the United States population. And the reason for all this is he has just escaped getting impeached by the Senate, but the problems are lingering. He and his attorney general are now not seeing eye to eye. This attorney general, William Barr, was his hand-picked lieutenant or lieutenant to do his bidding. That's what people say. Now, Barr did, for the most part, what Trump wanted to do, but recently he has been very, very unhappy. What has happened? A lot of the senior Department of Justice officials have resigned. Why did they resign? Because Trump somehow managed to get things done, I would say, for his guy, Robert Stone, who was serving many years in prison. Now that case is being, turned upside down. Most likely, he might be even freed. Who knows? They are saying that this was the whole thing was wrong. Yesterday, there were jurors on that case who came and they were saying that if something like that were to happen, it would be a travesty of justice. But so Trump is under some pressure. Trump doesn't know who is going to be the Democratic nominee, although signs are that you're going to be having one among the four. Bernie Sanders, Mike Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, or Mike Bloomberg. Bloomberg is a late entrant. We don't know what's going to happen. He was in a debate yesterday. He did not do very well in that. It could be that he's rusty, but he is the mayor of one of the hardest cities to govern, New York. So if he survived New York, he probably thinks he can survive anything. So we are going to be in for some interesting times. So I think the Indian public should not expect much out of this trip unless there is some last minute agreements that are going to happen. I don't see that happening, but I could be wrong. Let's see how it plays out. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to PGurus channel.